Ainara, and I love digging into a good book. So let's read, learn, and grow together, one diverse character at a time. Welcome to Ainara's Bookshelf. I'm looking for a magical book today. Maybe a magical graphic novel, something where I can really dive into a different world and maybe still learn something about the real world at the same time. This is precisely what I need. This is The Witch Boy by Molly Knox Ostertag. It's a beautifully illustrated fantasy graphic novel about friendship and identity, and it's the first book in a fantastic trilogy. This book is about 13-year-old Aster. Aster has a huge family, and they all have magic. In this world, the girls become witches, while the boys are all shapeshifters. People who don't follow these paths are exiled. Aster is supposed to be a shapeshifter, like the rest of his male cousins, but he hasn't shifted yet. He's always been drawn to witchcraft, even though it's dangerous and forbidden to boys. Soon, things get scary when something mysterious starts hunting the other boys. Aster wants to help them, but he can only do that as a witch. With the help of a new friend, Charlie, Aster embarks on a journey to practice his magic skills. But will he have the strength to not only save everyone, but also to be his true self? This is such a heart-touching and magic-filled book. It was an excellent, quick read that still impacts me and how I view the world around me. It has become one of my favorite comfort reads. You will love the characters, the magic, the incredible art, and all the important themes it discusses. Some of the biggest themes in this book are gender roles and stereotypes. In Aster's family, all the girls are witches, and he's interested in witchcraft. But everyone tells him he has to be a shifter, because he's a boy, and that's what's expected of him. Us kids are always told what colors we can wear, what toys we can play with, and what shows we should be watching based on our gender. So I think a lot of you relate to this book. I think the weight of others' expectations of you and not knowing if what you want or what you're supposed to want is right is relatable. I know I've dealt with that conflict. And our main character, Aster, goes on a journey to really figure out who he is. He goes through a challenging but beautiful journey to embrace who he truly is. And throughout the Witch Boy series, we see him continue to grow as a character and a young witch boy. He also learns how to nurture and grow relationships and finds people that he loves and that love him, which is so important for everyone. Finding your people who accept you for who you are. I think this book is an excellent read for ages 9 and up. Aster's story is so important, and it's stories like these that remind us that books give us a chance to learn, discuss, and understand topics we might not be familiar with. The person behind this book has an amazing story of her own. Molly Knox Ostertag, the author of Witch Boy and a graphic novel queen in my books. Her first hit was strong female protagonists, but the first graphic novel she illustrated and wrote was none other than the incredible Witch Boy. It's so incredible, in fact, that it's being made into an animated musical series. You cannot understand how excited I am about that. Both Witch Boy and Molly Ostertag are just so fantastic. You know what? I think we have to meet her. Let's go. Oh my gosh, hi Molly!
Hi, Ainara, it's so nice to meet you.
Yes, this is amazing. How are you?
I'm good, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited for today.
I'm excited to talk about comics with you.
Yes, I love this. Okay, do you want to go into the comic book store?
Let's head in.
Okay. So here we are, surrounded by so many graphic novels and comic books. I mean, you create graphic novels yourself. Have you always wanted to make graphic novels?
I loved stories so much when I was a kid, and I sometimes still find books and movies that really speak to me as an adult, but it's a lot more rare. I'm not the first person to say this. I've heard this from a lot of authors who make kids work, but it feels like we're making work for kids, for ourselves, for our child selves, and that we're sort of reaching back in time to say, like, here is a book that would help you if you'd only had it.
Yeah. Seeing it a whole different way. That's happened to me so many times where I read a book when I was younger, and then I come back, and I've learned more things in that time, and then you see it completely different. And I mean, that happens with Witch Boy. A couple times after I read it, there were metaphors of, you know,
gender identity and sexuality that I didn't really understand maybe the first time that I read it.
Yeah, that was definitely a thought, especially as I came out as the book was coming out, basically.
Yeah.
Me and the Witch Boy came out together. And the next two books I sort of made with a little bit more consciousness of what it was about. But I knew that these are books for young kids, and I knew that if I had read a book when I was a kid that was explicitly about like lesbians and it used the word lesbian, which is how I identify, that would have been really scary. I don't know if I could have picked up that book and loved it at 12 years old. It would have been a little frightening for me to kind of own that language. I wasn't ready to own it at the time. And so I wanted to make a series that explored these ideas and kind of used magic as a little bit of a metaphor to explore how we start to figure out our identity and how we start to become aware of our queer identities. But it was really on purpose that I kind of avoided using any terminology. I just wanted to really present it as, this is Aster, this is this character's truth. And if you can start to understand him, then that will give you an avenue into understanding kind of what it's like to feel like you're queer at a very young age.
I mean, your graphic novel, Witch Boy, it probably has some of my favorite graphic novel art ever.
Oh, thank you so much.
So, I mean, I really want to know, were you an artist or were you an author first?
I began as an artist for sure.
Nice.
I think, do you draw at all?
I dabble, I try.
Okay, because like I'm sure you drew when you were like younger though too.
Yeah, definitely.
And I sort of just never stopped doing that, which is what I always tell kids and like tell adults too, is that like you really just have to keep going. That was where I started, and then I got a little bit more into writing, and then I went to school actually to study art, and I kind of put the writing aside for a while, and I thought, okay, I'm studying art, I'm gonna be an artist. Other people can write the stories for me and I will illustrate them. And I did that for a while, and then I kind of realized I actually do have all these stories I want to tell. And so that was really how the Witch Boy came about, was me sitting down and thinking, what do I want to draw? What kind of story feels important to me? What kind of naturally comes out when I start to think about the story I'd like to tell? And the Witch Boy is the result of that.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love your whole origin story. That's so exciting. And I mean, in Witch Boy, of course, magic plays such a cool role.
Yeah.
And the way that you illustrated it is so cool. I think the effects art for the shapeshifters and then the runes and symbols for the magic was so cool.
The runes actually came from a very specific place. So do you know what LARPing is?
Yeah,
Live action role playing.
role-playing.
So I went to a summer camp where I LARPed when I was a young teenager.
That's cool.
Yes, it was extremely cool. Like I was like very popular at school, I can promise.
That's awesome.
Not. But one of my favorite characters that I played was a rune caster. And so she cast magic by writing runes and drawing on things. And so she'd kind of like draw on a piece of paper and then like put it on the ground, and it would like grow a tree or make a fireball or something in my imagination. And so that was really my source of inspiration when I wanted to do the runes. And I also remember before I figured that out, before I sort of made that connection between like, oh, I've already drawn a whole rune system, I can use it in this book. I was trying to put spells in the book, and I was looking for words to do the spells, and I was like, maybe they're Latin, but then it sounds like Hogwarts, it sounds like Harry Potter, maybe like and like anything, it just like felt like any language that I used would be kind of specific to like a specific culture, and I really wanted to make this new magical culture. And so getting to kind of, it's sort of the magic of comics, like you couldn't do that in a book, in a prose book, and you couldn't do that in a movie. It's really specific to comics that you can have this magical rune that the characters are speaking, and you don't know what it sounds like, but you can imagine. And that's really fun, because I've had a lot of readers, I've gotten emails where people are like, I figured out the secret to the runes, and I'm like, please tell me, I don't know what it is. And I get a lot of kids who like send me their own runes that they've made. And so that was what started as a way for me to kind of avoid having to make up a magical language became something really, really special.
Yeah, I'm really glad you did shapeshifters, because they're really cool.
Yeah.
And it's also, like you said, the art ties it in really well. So yeah, it's just a beautiful story.
Thank you. What would you want to be, a witch or a shapeshifter?
Probably a witch.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, the magic and stuff
Pretty
is
cool.
really cool. You can do anything, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So your powers aren't limited. So yeah,
totally.
I think a witch. What about you?
I would be a shapeshifter. It just seems it just would be very cool to turn into a creature.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming out to talk to me. Like I said, I love these books so much, so it's incredible. Thank you. It was so nice meeting you.
Thank you. This was a delight.
Yeah.
Happy reading.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Wow, it was such a thrill to meet Molly, right? One of the things we were talking about, and still one of my favorite parts of the book, is how the spells are illustrated by runes. Molly had to design each one so that they match the spell being cast. Okay, so here's a little art prompt for you. Imagine a spell you want to cast, and design your own rune to go with it. While you're creating your rune, imagine what it would sound like as you cast the spell. Can't wait to see what you come up with, and I can't wait to see you again, here at Ainara's Bookshelf.